Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. Right, so today we are going to be taking a look at the full run of Alliance Quest, and even though it is not the most exciting Alliance Quest run that I have ever done, unfortunately I missed both of the mini bosses, and we actually had, let's say, something annoying happen when it comes to taking down the boss. But there is something awesome that I definitely want to share with as many people as I possibly can. So I'll move myself here to the right side and we're going to start the clip. So as you can see, my team here is Mallman, Nick Fury, and Warlock. Now the paths that I take would be 5, 8, and 4 respectively in section 1, 2, and 3. So path 5 in this case is just kind of like Bane and then whatever else on a different fight like Oscillate or some other nodes. Then in path 2, it is Combo Party and Counter Tactics, which is actually a very tricky path because you do have a super annoying Void to deal with, which can be a massive pain in the ass. And then I have Reverse Controls in section 3, where I mainly kind of use Warlock, but I'm actually going to end up using Mallman for a lot of that. So we could see that this first fight just absolutely flew by. Took absolutely no time at all. Now the next fight is Electro, which I use to typically kind of like try and bring in a champion that counters Electro's abilities and I don't have to take that passive damage back. And then somewhere several months ago I just started using Nick Fury for it and eating that damage, and it has worked out for the better ever since, because Nick Fury gets basically 2 health bars to fight with, and yeah, I don't care if I lose a slight amount of health in that Electro fight. Still more than enough left over to do whatever I want to use Nick Fury for. And yeah, here we have Luke Cage. I think against Luke Cage I'm going to be bringing in Mallman again. This day in Alliance Quest is Parry Curse. Now I actually recorded another full day of Alliance Quest, which pretty much turned out as exactly the same, just with different modifier. That was the one where you can only use one special attack and you need to kind of like rotate them. I always turn the tide, I want to say. But Parry Curse, I think, is possibly perhaps a bit trickier global. I'm certainly not overly fond of either one of those globals. And the kind of key about Parry Curse is whenever you enter the first fight, parry the opponent once and then finish the fight without parrying ever again, and then you are free to parry your next 2 upcoming fights as and when and how you please. So that's kind of like the key there as far as I'm concerned, and it has been helping me quite a bit. And then you only really need to be very mindful of Parry Curse as a global node for the one fight, and next 2 fights you're pretty much free to do whatever you want with slightly reduced stun duration. Now here, just a kick-ass looking special 3 from Mallman to finish off that Luke Cage. And that is pretty much it for this clip, and that is pretty much it for my contribution in the first night. So we're going to move on to the next morning already. This is the time that I wake up, and this is also somewhat a critical time for me in AQ, because this is the time that I typically make the most mistakes, the biggest mess ups, because I do these fights typically very early, and I always say it's smart to do it a while after you have woken up. But unfortunately, I can't seem to follow my own advice quite often, and frequently I end up doing them while I'm still very groggy and sleepy. So here, going up against Gwenpool again, very simple. Start off with a heavy attack, go for 1 full combo, finish it with medium, go for another full combo, finish it with light, get a couple of those passive furies from Juke, and here I just go into a level 1. Unfortunately, the frenzy did expire there, but all of the shocks and bleeds and everything else combined, the Gwenpool goes down. And that is exactly how good Mallman is in Alliance Quest, and I'm absolutely loving him. Now, when you get that intercept node, that's like jackpot for Mallman, because whenever you use his kind of like going unstoppable and punishing, because of that, that counts as an intercept and you get a massive damage increase. But even without any meaningful global, he's such a beast that all of these fights are finished basically as quickly as Chorus with them, if not faster, especially considering that in this case I could not get any charges for Chorus. Now here I did make a mistake. I entered Frenzy and I didn't count my hits, so I have that debuff active on me, but I still finish him out quickly enough. But it's also a very cool thing that he can deal with a void fight even if I'm running suicides, and that is very, very amazing, and that is kind of like a perfect fit for what I want to have in a champion, because I do run suicide masteries quite frequently, and then unless you are bringing in double immune champion, there aren't too many champions that can actually deal with void on that node. It's another reason why I like to bring in Nick Fury there, because Nick Fury shrugs off suicides and any other debuffs that he has once he gets his life model decoy destroyed. And then if I do mess up anywhere else before that, I just use Nick Fury for that void fight, and yeah, he is perfectly capable of dealing with that fight as well. Now, unfortunately, in that void fight, I did end up parrying twice. That means my parry stun duration currently is quite significantly reduced, and that will end up with me taking a bit too much block damage. And I finished the next day using exactly the same team on exactly the same path with a Moleman that had significantly more health, just because I kind of played it a bit more careful. But still, we can see that several fights in, he's at 40% health, which is not ideal, but he's putting in work, and it's important how quickly he's finishing these fights. He only landed basically 2 heavy attacks, 1 combo. Unfortunately, Venom that doesn't really want to cooperate with me. Now, finally, he throws that level 1, so I can go for a level 1 of my own. But 2 combos and a level 1, we can see that Venom is melting away like nobody's business. I'm gonna go here for a few more hits, and he just drops dead. Moleman is one of my more recent rank 3s alongside Immortal Hulk. And I'm not gonna say that they are like the best champions in the game, but Moleman and Immortal Hulk both are so fun to use. And I'm very, very, very happy that I have taken those guys up. And they have been putting in work for me, so I don't regret their rank ups at all, to be honest. I'm very happy with those decisions, and especially because I find them not only useful, but also because they genuinely put a smile on my face. Now, the reason why I'm going with Warlock in this fight in particular is actually quite simple. I wanted to parry this guy once, so I activate the parry curse, and in next fight, I don't have to worry about it. That was kind of the key here. I wanted how my parry curse already on Warlock, so in the next fight that I use Warlock, I can end up parrying as much as I want. That is it for this part. We're going to be jumping to section 3 here. I did try to get that Magneto mini-boss fight as well, and if you're thinking which one of the champions I could have potentially used for Magneto, then the answer is Nick Fury, actually. Because a while ago I discovered a quite cool interaction, and I realized that Nick Fury is actually a very, very good option for that Magneto mini-boss. And the reason being for that is because his passive Inner Bleed does full damage, and yeah, that effectively just means that with Flux Dispersal, it's kind of like a perfect playstyle. You parry, you do a medium heavy attack, parry, medium heavy attack, and you stack Inner Bleeds, and you can quite easily solo that Magneto mini boss using Nick Fury, and it's kind of like cool outside of the box solution for that guy. Therefore, I kind of actually enjoy doing that. But now we are in path 3. I had to double check there if I was recording, and turns out that I am, and I'm using Warlock for this Killmonger. Obviously, Warlock ignores the reversed controls, and that is wonderful. And we can see that here I am in a quite good rhythm. I have him drop his level 1, then I just parry and heavy, or punish his level 1 with my heavy. And yes, I do take a slight amount of reverb damage, but it's nothing major. He goes down extremely quickly. Now, this Killmonger actually can be very, very, very annoying fight, especially with that strike back node, plus the fact that there are reverse controls unless you're bringing in a robot, and so on and so forth. So ultimately, yeah, Warlock is a very good answer there. Now we can see that I was watching some videos as I was doing that, which is fair enough. And this is like the final clip here, so I think it's the final. Either way, How this is technically not my fight. I don't deal with this. This is the fight that is technically for the path that's above me. But it's kind of like, it was free for the taking, and I figured, why not? So it's Bane. Basically, that's the only node that you need to worry about here is Bane. So swift Bane transfers is all that I'm looking for. And if opponent isn't stun immune, even when they're unstoppable, Bane isn't nearly as scary in reality, because you can always parry and get that hit in. So Bane can be tricky to deal with if unstoppability is involved. But again, if it doesn't involve stun immunity, then it's significantly easier. So here I'm going to go for level 2, which destroys vast majority of the guy's health, and just another parry and a couple of hits, and the fight is over. And yeah, very simple, straightforward, nothing special there. But now our Moleman, battle-wearied Moleman, has to take on a couple more fights. So first up is going to be a Winter Soldier here. And again, these fights are with reverse control, so I might make some small slip-ups, but I have been doing this path quite frequently enough to be relatively comfortable with it. So I'm just going to let him strike my block, but that was a mistake, actually. But yeah, I got tagged there, but it's fine. So I'm going in, punishing in reverse, which is fine, going for my level 1. Wonderful. I'm going to have to bait out at level 2, I think, or I just decide to go for Kakuna Matata and absolutely nuke down that Winter Soldier. So there I had to wait up to be unlinked, and now slightly later in the war, sorry, not war, I'm just used to recording war videos instead of Alliance Quest videos. I'm going to go up against Captain America Infinity War, and in this fight I actually get class advantage, which is quite nice. So again, I'm going to go in for 2 heavy attacks here, because why not? And then that I have landed those, I want him to strike my block. Actually, 3 heavy attacks. I want to give myself plenty of time in that case. So now at this point I want him to strike my block, and I'm just going to go in and punish the guy as quickly as I can. So you can see that when he glances me, it doesn't crit, but it's fair enough. The rest of the hits are critting, the rest of the hits are applying bleed, and he's absolutely melting again. And yeah, Moleman is just such a beast. Absolutely love him for AQ now, and a bunch of other things. And Medusa fight. Medusa fight is actually going to be a bit more messy. I'm going to make a mistake here that I rectified the next day. And maybe I'll showcase that fight again with a different modifier. But I'm actually going to mess up in this fight with Moleman. Now, I shouldn't have gone for the second heavy attack, because that gets rid of my true accuracy. I should have triggered my frenzy quicker, and then I could have kept true accuracy, but it's fine. That was just like the first kind of like mistake of several ones. So at this point, we can see that she's at 2 bars of power, and I want to bait that out, which is fair enough. And I'm about to run out of frenzy, which is not a big deal. I kind of actually prefer that, because now I have my true accuracy back. But she's being very stingy, and it's the kind of critical point, especially on reverse controls. And eventually I do make a slip up. My brain kind of like spazzed out a bit, and she caught me dashing back. So that wasn't a perfect fight by any means, but it's also partially my fault, because I entered frenzy mode too late and I lost my true accuracy. Otherwise I could have been a bit more bold and finished that fight off quickly. But it's not a big deal. I can just bring in Nick Fury and do that now. But yeah, that is also it for my participation in this Alliance quest. Now, unfortunately, when it comes to the boss fight, then, well, let's just say everything didn't go as planned, and I actually didn't end up fighting the boss. And I rarely do. I'm going to be trying my best to actually wait around and try and snipe him like a sniper. I'm going to be sitting and checking AQ screen every 5 minutes, waiting for the boss to open, because I do want to get some more apocalypse fights on the channel, and I also been practicing awaiting his special attacks, so I definitely want to get that in a video. But either way, the main point of this video definitely wasn't apocalypse or anything else. The main point of this video is Moleman's freaking awesome in IQ, and I love him. Now, all that being said, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video, and if you have, hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit all the good buttons, and I am going to catch you guys soon. See ya. Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about